Hello, guys. Welcome to my first fresh new podcast episode of my new podcast show called Ireland Speaks. It's a beautiful winter's evening. The sun has been splitting the skies during the day, drenching the whole landscape in a beautiful gold hue, so it's not so bad, even though the world has gone crazy right now. My name is Alan Cooke. I'm an Emmy-winning writer, poet, speaker, filmmaker, and actor. I am going to be interviewing people from all over the world during this period of time for the next year. People from all sorts of different artistic and cultural backgrounds who have something to share with us, who have something to say about their own lives and their own work, and hopefully you'll be touched by the conversations, because we all need to hear each other's voices at this time in the world. So welcome to Ireland Speaks, and my first guest is, for me, someone I find an amazing person of inspiration. She's a very, very, very talented uilleann pipe player and flute player, and I've listened to her music a lot on my phone, going on my many walks all over Ireland, and I think she's a very extraordinary, gifted talent. So I'm really happy that she's the first guest. I'm really excited to share a bit about her life and her music and her background. So her name is Catherine Ashcroft. I'm going to first start off with one of her tunes, and we'll listen to that now, and then we're going to have a chat because she's on the other end of the phone waiting for me. So this is Alan Cooke with Ireland Speaks and Catherine Ashcroft and one of her tunes. Here we go. That was Catherine Ashcroft, and I think that was called The Fair-Haired Girl, and here she is, the fair-haired girl herself. Catherine Ashcroft, how are you doing?
Hi there. Thanks very much for having me on your show.
You're the first guest,
or your podcast.
So there's no pressure at all to be the most extraordinary interviewee in the history of cultural history and music. But that track, just to start off, that was called The Fair-Haired Girl, am I correct?
It is, yeah. It's a traditional Irish tune. Slower, yeah. It's a beautiful tune.
It's so evocative for me to start with that simple, sonorous sort of the whistle just playing and echoing on its own. It's almost like it's a sweeping spirit going through the valleys of Ireland. And I know you were born in the northwest of England, and you've had a passion for Irish music since you were a child, and you grew up in a musical home. Tell me a bit more about that, how you got into the whole music scene and playing your instruments.
Yeah, well, I've always been drawn to music from being very small, and I started at school like most people do when they have recorder classes and classical music classes, and I just sort of was drawn to it straight away. But I think I went down the Irish traditional route. It was my parents really listening to the likes of Planxty and the Chieftains, and I'd just be a little kid going about my business, but I think I absorbed those tunes and that music, and it just touched me. I think particularly the pipes, the sound of the pipes, I was just mesmerised. And I remember thinking, wow, I want to play those. I want to play that instrument. I mean, I had no idea what it looked like or anything. It was just the sound of it. So, yeah, I kind of mithered until my parents, helped me find a pipe maker and get started.
And is that a difficult first step in a way? You started in your mid-teens, right? Starting on the pipes. Is that? It seems like an incredibly complex instrument to master because you sort of have the air, and I don't quite know the exact dynamics, but you have the air of pushing the air in and out, and then you have your hand movements as well, and it just seems like you have to sort of, and obviously you have to focus obviously on the interpretation of the music and the rhythm and all. So was that difficult beginning? I mean, you're self-taught, which is extraordinary because you're such a high level of talent. Like, was that hard at the beginning? Like, how did you get into learning in a way with that instrument?
Well, I started music at the age of 7 on recorder at school, and I think I kind of took off, and I even started playing Irish tunes on the Descant recorder, and I soon realised that the instrument didn't really lend itself to the folk stuff. So I then got a whistle, Irish whistle, and I thought, well, this is much more fun than those classical scales and grades and things like that. So I started playing the whistle. So I had a little bit of knowledge in playing tunes, how they worked, and moving your fingers. But to then transform onto the pipes, that was very difficult. Obviously, trying to get the technique of blowing the air in the bag and pushing it through. Yeah, it's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your belly kind of thing.
And did you find that, because I'm always into this connection between nature and music, and were you a child who would have been able to spend time in nature on your own, and did that start to affect the music or learning as you played?
I would definitely say so. I mean, I remember I grew up on a hill farm in Cumbria, way out in the sticks. I think took me about an hour every day to get to school on the school bus, and it was by no means a big school. It was very rural. So I remember I'd sit and look out of the window, and particularly at the animals, the little lambs running around the field in the spring, and my parents had ponies as well, and I would play and watch them, and there's definitely a connection there, certainly.
It's almost like it's really interesting because you're saying this, because I almost feel like you're absorbing, as even as a poet and a writer, I absorb nature. I mean, almost like it's like a dye that goes into your skin, and I really feel from your music this sort of like even when I'm walking, listen to some of your tunes, the faster tunes. It's almost like I can feel the rhythm of that around in the nature that I'm observing when I'm walking to your music. So it's like you're mirroring back what I'm feeling when I'm walking in nature. That you're almost playing the sound of nature at times in a strange kind of way, you know.
Yeah, traditional music is very pure, and I think that's what I love about it. And I am a bit of a purist, so there's definitely a connection there.
So you developed that, then you obviously started to get very, very good, and you won a couple of big British titles on the whistle and pipes in 2007, and then you were going to Ireland. What happened to get you to Ireland to start sort of going around other musical greats and pubs and venues? Were you going specifically? How did you end up going into Ireland to play music?
Yeah, I just realised I needed to spend some time with other players. Where I live was very beautiful, and I did get the inspiration from the nature around me.
Yeah.
But I did want to connect with other musicians as well and sort of learn techniques, particularly on the pipes from them. So I'd start going to summer schools and just joining sessions, which you have a rich music scene in Ireland.
Yeah.
It's not hard when you get there to find some good music in a pub or or even in the street, or it's very musical country. So that was a great journey for me, and I soon fitted in and enjoyed playing.
I mean,
with other musicians there.
In Ireland, we're surrounded by ocean, but we also have oceans of talented musicians. And in the area where I live in the West, it's steeped in that richness, because you are mainly in a lot of very deep parts of natures where traditional music would have been grown from, in a way, and particularly the different times and phases of history that people lived in obviously shaped the music. So it's very much a home place for musicians to come, I think, from the traditional scene, to make some. I mean, you've had people from Japan, all over the world, come and play and learn here, and then bring back a lot of beauty to spread the seed, in a way. So, because when I first heard you play, I assumed you were Irish. And it's not like a biased thing. Oh, you have to be Irish to play. No. I mean, it just was like automatically that. Oh yeah, she must be from Ireland, because it sounded so Celtic. But that's the other thing I want to get into, is the Celtic connection, obviously. And it's the Celtic strand that seems to connect all the music that has that sound in it from all over the world. Can you tell me more about, do you think, is that something that you'd agree with, about the Celtic tradition connected to the Irish and the other traditions in music?
I would, yeah, definitely. There's definitely a connection there. I do have Irish roots.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps or not. I'm sure there's plenty of musicians without Irish roots who play very well, but I definitely feel drawn for some reason to this type of music.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's why, or if it's just because, I don't know, it is beautiful music, so it will appeal. I'm sure, across the world.
It's very much a mysterious thing. Like, I mean, you went on then to do a lot of touring. You started up a band with Maurice Dickinson, who I love as well, in the albums that you've done together. And you went on the Riverdance tour. What was that like, doing the Riverdance in China and stuff? So that would have been a fascinating experience for you.
Yeah, it certainly was. Yeah. Again, yeah. As far as China, the music has great appeal. So it really has something special, I think, the Irish tradition.
It's almost like this natural...
But yeah, it was... Yeah, certainly an adventure. Certainly an adventure.
I wanted to ask you about the experience of when you began to play live, either with yourself or with a couple of other musicians in front of actual audiences, not just in a pub. What was that transition like, and how did that affect your music?
Yeah, well, I started very young, and I did different things. I played with a Manchester band around the pubs and clubs most weekends for a couple of years in my teens, and that was very much like a training ground, really. You just got so used to playing in front of people, and also, judging your audience and kind of getting them interested, and that's a whole art in itself. But I also did a lot of busking in the streets, in the Lake District, up and down the country. I really enjoyed that, meeting different people and all sorts of characters and other musicians.
And all the time,
that's a very free thing to do.
And all the time, were you keeping that relationship with nature in your life? Had you always lived, even as an adult, are you close to nature in places where you've lived, to get out to nature and keep that connection alive?
And I have lived for spells in the town and city, and I've always, as soon as I've free time, I'm off out in the hills. Sat on the side of a hill, writing a tune, or by the ocean. So yeah, definitely.
Do you feel that obviously there's so much going on in the world right now, but music to me, I was just looking up today. I was just thinking about music a lot in terms of how it's impacted the world. Obviously, it's one of the greatest art forms. It's one of the most immediate art forms, and I love this quote. I'm just looking up for it here. It's I love this quote. Music is the literature of the heart. It commences where speech ends. And it's as a writer, I hoped moved people with poetry and the oration of the live word and that language, but it's also, there's such an intense immediacy to music. It launches you completely into a different stratosphere within a microsecond, and I don't think any other art form. What does that, I think, is also nature. If you go stand in front of an ocean and you suddenly see this big wave, or you see a sunset, you immediately have this feeling of awe. Straight off. There's no build-up. It just straight impacts you into your soul. And music really goes from the heart to your heart as an audience member. And I'm like, are the greatest musicians conduits for something bigger than themselves in a way, And do you feel, after having played a long period of time, do you feel you almost channel music now? Do you still have to have it from kind of memory when you're playing, or is it just like you let go of everything and play? What does it feel like when you're playing in those moments in the audience,
Yeah, I think that's the mark of a good gig, really. I've discussed this with Maurice. We've done so many gigs together, and when you do let go and you almost become one with the audience, it's like the energy that the music creates, and you're not thinking, then you are just playing and moving people. And I think that's the mark of a success, when you move people. Not so much technique or if something's played in a certain way, or I think it's the feeling within the music and the soul that touches people, and I think that's something to aim for.
Have you found, say you've gone through difficulties in your life, which we all have as human beings, but I guess one of the beauties of being an artist is that you get to directly translate it into your work. A guy working in an office can't go in with all his anger and then have a day in the office where he uses his anger. Well, you can, but that's the alchemy. I think the beauty of art is that you literally could walk on stage and might have been having a really awful day or something really terrible happened, but you had to play the gig. Can you have memories of, I don't mean in personal stuff, but just memories of those moments where you've walked on and something has been elevated or healed or transformed for the audience because of how you felt?
Yeah, many times. And also, playing for other people does it, but you can also play for yourself as well, and that's very healing. I think in difficult times, it's also a great time for writing. I think the best material comes when you're not quite right. When there's something upsetting going on. So
what musicians do you admire in your field who stand out for you, who would have been a huge influence or still remain an influence for you in the traditional field?
Oh, my favourite piper would have to be Paddy Keenan. I think there's such a magic in his playing. Planksty as well, Liam O'Flynn. Inspired many musicians like myself. I know that. Matt Malloy on flute. Yeah.
What is it about magic? You said something there that really struck me, like it's just a certain, you can have all these masters of music, right? But say someone like Martin Hayes, you probably know of him, Martin Hayes, right? Like the Gloaming and that kind of band. Like there's something in his playing. It's like gypsy. Like it just has this very, very, very light touch. It's almost like a spider spinning a web, a very gentle silk web. There's something that it's elevated just above powerful playing. It goes into sort of the divine. It's like a magic, you know.
Yeah. All I can think is they're putting themselves into the music.
Yeah.
So that's why no one could ever replicate their playing. You know, they could practice and practice all your life, but you would never play the same as them because it's their soul that's going into the music. So I think that's what makes it so special.
I remember climbing Croagh Patrick. Did you ever hear of the place Croagh Patrick in County Mayo?
Yeah.
I don't know if have you ever climbed up there?
I've never climbed it, no.
Well, if you ever...
Is it a pilgrimage?
Yes, it is. It's a pilgrimage site, and people have gone up it barefoot and in all ages. And I went up it myself. It was 20 years ago now. And I remember the extraordinary moment of coming down the mountain, and everyone's tired, but there was a little bar just at the foot of the mountain. I can't remember the name of it. And we went in, and it was still smoking just then. It was a plume of smoke. But there was a box player there, there was a flute player there was a couple of other instruments that were more normal traditional instruments, and everyone was tired. Most of the people who climbed the mountain were in that pub, and it was sort of like a free-for-all. People would stand up and do poems, and then they played this music, and they were all just sort of banded together naturally. But it was one of the most peaceful feelings I've ever had in my life. There was something in the tiredness of the energy and the oldness of the playing and the simplicity and the gentleness of the people reciting and the kindness of people together. I knew that pub was very old and that people had done this for a long time, and we were almost continuing on that sense of peace from the mountain. And then the music sort of provided the score of how you were feeling in a way at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, sounds like a special place.
So I have a friend who plays the harp, and there's a very strong history to the harp here, and it's just something about when you correlate all the beauty of Ireland, all the variance of the landscape, and all the places I've travelled all over, and you hear and can feel when your music is played, is the idea of transportation. And I was thinking today, I was walking on the beach today thinking about, when someone says I was very moved by your music, well, now I know what that means. It means you were actually moved. Something moved in you. We need to be moved today more and more in the world. We need to actually be emotionally moved, poetically moved. And that's why I think someone like with your music is such an important role. Artists have such a role in society. It's a job, as in, it's a job like a surgeon is a job, or a librarian is a job, or a veterinarian is a job. That it is an important job because your job is to primarily move people into different places, and we need to be moved deeply. Definitely. Right now.
And I think the importance of that is being lost at the moment,
right?
Particularly by our leaders. There's a big focus on science.
Yeah. And
don't get me wrong, science is, there's been many miracles come through science, but the arts are definitely suffering, and I don't know what it's like in Ireland, but I think by the UK government there's certainly just being dismissed. The attitude is, learn another skill. And
I remember that.
It's really sad. Yeah, we need to keep playing and keep inspiring others to play as well, because it is important.
Well, I actually believe that's probably music which has saved people's lives at very specific moments where people might have been feeling very, very dark places, and then they'll turn on or hear a record somewhere in their car, or play a tune, and they suddenly will be brought back from the edge because this music shows them a side of the beauty of everything in that. And the beauty of music is that it brings you absolutely 100% into the moment. You can't be anywhere else listening to music but where you're at right there, right then and there. What I lament right now is the idea of of thousands of people together, like say Freddie Mercury and Queen, that famous moment, or these unified moments of people joined together. I hope that one day it can come back, but that magic never got the beauty of, I think, of magic, even in Ireland, where all these kids seem like they're geniuses, and people say, oh, if the old people die, the music's going to go. It's in the rivers, it's in the landscape, it's in the mountains, and all you have to do is dip your hand in, and it's there. The door is open,
Yeah, I think Ireland's got a thriving scene, so I see a lot of really young players playing so well. I don't think there's anything to worry about there, but yeah, worrying times for music.
Well, on that worrying note, we're going to play another. I'm going to play another one of your tunes right now. This one is called Palm Sunday. So this is Alan Cooke here with the great, very, very gifted musician Catherine Ashcroft. We're on my new podcast show called Ireland Speaks, and we're just going to play another tune here called Palm Sunday. I was just going to say to you, I was dancing around the room there, listening to your tune, and then you appear, and then I was thinking that that music is too good. That's not your music. No, I was just going to say to, and I'll finish on the last track. I'm going to put one of your piping tracks on, but there's a Proust interview from Vanity Fair that I used to ask guests on my other podcast show. So it's a series of quick fire questions. So it might be a good way to start rounding this off. Again, you can answer them any way you want, or you can just skip it. So the first question is, what is your idea of perfect happiness?
Oh, I think everyone that I love to be healthy and content.
Nice.
It's probably same for everyone. Would you think?
Most people would. What's your greatest fear?
Oh. I don't know.
Okay, interesting answer. What's
trapping my fingers?
Oh dear. What is the trait you most deplore in yourself?
Say that one again.
What is the trait that you most deplore in yourself? What is it? What is the one trait you don't like about yourself? It's a bit of a strange question, but this is just a questionnaire. You don't have to answer it again. Either, Is he your musical genius, or what is it like you hate about yourself? That you're so talented you can't bear yourself?
Probably my OCD.
Yeah, most artists here, I think they have a bit of perfectionism in it, there's no doubt. Which living person do you most admire?
Probably my mother.
Okay, nice answer.
I have to say that in case she listens to it. Okay. To the show.
What's your greatest extravagance?
I'm not an extravagant person.
Yeah.
So that's a difficult one.
We'll come back to that one. What's your current state of mind?
Say that again.
What's your current state of mind?
Oh, God. How would you sum that up in words?
Okay.
My current state of mind.
Yeah. Maybe in consideration of the world or something. I don't know. The way the world is. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I don't know. Look, we're going to jump that one again.
It's
Go on.
Hard to sum up in words, isn't it?
Well,
the
that's
current
why
situation.
That's why you're a musician.
I'm not even sure of my own state of mind at the moment.
Oh, that's a good answer.
But we try to stay positive, don't we?
Yeah.
And hope for the best. Yeah.
What do you consider the most overrated virtue?
Probably technology.
Interesting. On what occasion do you lie?
Only if the police pull me over.
Okay, the good answer.
Behind the wheel.
What words or phrases do you most overuse?
Probably on this show.
Okay. When and where were you happiest?
I'd say when I'm free, when I'm traveling, and there's no limit on time, or you can just be,
Yeah. A lot of people who tour or have toured a lot, that gypsy sort of life where they're just doing what they love and then they pick up and they're at another adventure. So they get the touring life.
And you can't predict the next day.
Yeah.
You meet new people and things happen that you would never imagine could happen.
And you get to see landscapes, I guess, that most people wouldn't get to see whilst they're working as well, whilst they're doing their work. Yeah.
Yeah, and wildlife and
which talent besides
probably on the road.
Besides plumbing, which talent would you most like to have? Any particular talent that you'd sort of go, I don't know, brain surgery or... No, nothing comes to mind. I'll skip that one.
I'd like to be able to draw.
There we go.
I have a lot of artistic friends.
Yeah.
And they do beautiful paintings and drawings, and I admire them so much. And my house is I've so many original pictures on the walls.
Well, that's a nice thing to hear.
So I think that's a skill I admire a lot. Yeah.
What do you consider your greatest achievement?
Probably learning to play the pipes.
Then
because so much good has come from it in my life, and I've met so many, great people through the music. So I'd say,
it's brought you on a lot of journeys.
Music brought me a lot of happiness. Yeah.
Where would you ideally most like to live? If you had a wish box, any country or place that springs to mind?
No, funnily enough, that's one question I ask myself all the time, because I like to move around and I can feel quite at home anywhere. I know people are drawn to one place, but
it's that gypsy thing again, isn't it? That I think a lot of artists, although they have strong roots in their art, they don't have strong roots in their physical being. It's almost like they need the bit of, again, we're going back to movement again. They need a bit of the movement to keep them sort of porous and sort of open to whatever comes in to their life. Because I think we need to be renewed a lot as artists. We need something. We need a lot of new experiences to sort of keep our idea of creation alive in a way,
Yeah, definitely.
What is your most treasured possession?
My little dog. Does that count?
Of course it counts.
Animals a possession.
Oh my God. Well, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. But we get what you mean. Yeah. No, animals, unconditional love. I was on the beach today and this dog wanted to come up and say hello, and the owner was sort of holding him back. I said, no, he can come and say hello to me. He was something water breed, but he looked like a giant chocolate poodle with Kevin Keegan perm. And he looked like Kevin Keegan. He had these big bright eyes with huge curly mop of hair. He was just a bunch of curls, and he was only a pup, but he was huge, And it was just fascinating to watch this dog go, this dog wants to love me straight off the bat. Like, if we treated each other like that, we went up and, particularly now, if we went up and hugged each other and start petting each other, wouldn't it be a strange world for humans? Yet it's completely normal and accepted to do that to a pet, or to allow a pet to lick you. I mean, if you're in the supermarket and you went up and licked someone's face, I don't think you'd get the same.
They don't do social distancing, do they?
No, dogs don't know the rules, What do you regard has the lowest depth of misery? That's a lovely question, isn't it? God.
Oh gosh, fortunately, I've not. I don't think I've experienced it, but I'd imagine perhaps seeing the suffering of someone that you love.
Yeah.
But that's a heavy one, isn't it?
Yeah. Sorry about that. What's your favorite occupation?
Oh, I'd have to say performing.
Yeah. What do you value most in your friends?
Loyalty, I think. Loyalty. It's always good to have people around you who with a sense of humour as well, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, crucial.
Yeah.
What historical figure do you identify with, or would admire, or heroes in real life or in historically? Anyone that comes to mind that would be a hero of yours?
Beside pipers.
Yeah, maybe it's just all pipers. I don't know. Nothing comes to mind.
I'm not sure about that.
What would you? Now this is all hypothetical. What would you say to God if you go to heaven? What's the first thing you'd say to him or her?
Probably thank you.
Oh, that's a nice one. Wow, that's powerful. Yeah. I'd say what the bloody hell. What was all that? What was all that? Can I have a look at the contract?
What the hell was that that you've just put me through?
Can I have a look at the contract again? Wait, no, I'm thinking. But well, that's the end of that. That's the little Proust questionnaires. I just threw them at you, but you've travelled quite a bit of the world. You've played in front of numerous audiences in different countries. You've created a lot of your own music, which is fantastic. You're self-taught, which blows my mind. I was just like, there's some piper somewhere in a little photograph in some place that you don't know yet who looks exactly like you from 300 years ago or something. Sometimes you ever think like about your own history and background if you haven't fully looked at your whole lineage, that there's somebody somewhere who's so similar to you.
I have thought
that ancestrally
definitely.
They're literally inside you, like when you're doing your playing, they almost like possess you or something. Or it's a very strange and mysterious thing, isn't it? Art and music.
Yeah.
And it's in the end, ultimately, you could theorize and we could talk about it. To me, the beauty of it is just like life. It's a total mystery. Like, why
all
is it
talents?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And most people have a talent, don't they? Some don't know it, but
there's a very powerful Oscar speech. I can't remember her name now, but she started off the speech with saying that there was so many people who are in graves that will never get to fulfill their talent, and I thought it was such a painful, powerful thing to think of all these extraordinary people from all backgrounds who could have been great contributors beyond what they were doing in their lives, and they just never got seen. Or and this is what's beautiful and sad about life. Somewhere in some little corner of the world, there's some little boy or some little girl writing something or painting something or playing something, and it's just like they don't know where it's come from, and they have this ability which lights up a room, and maybe we hope that those people can find a way. I mean, the beauty now of technology is that there's more chance those people can be found in the world. But then the problem is there's so many people who shouldn't be actually on the internet with their talents that are there.
Oh, I know. So it's just,
it's a bit of a free for all.
There's always a pro and con, isn't there, to everything, I guess. Yeah.
But listen, Catherine, thank you very much. I want to actually end with your pipe playing, and this was the first of my podcasts of Ireland Speaks, and it was Catherine Ashcroft. And I want to thank you very much for coming on the show, and I do hope you do get to play in front of live audiences again. I don't know, ultimately in the end, I guess that's still your biggest passion, really, isn't it, to be in front of people?
Yeah. It's nice to share your music, definitely, and touch other people with it. So, I'd love to think that we will get back there.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be quite a profound moment when, for all of us who perform or recite or whatever, get back in front of people in even a large crowd. There's going to be such a sense of longing in the world right now.
Yeah,
to have the soul. I really, really feel it right now. And in a weird way, all the beauty of your music and talent is going to shine even more because of where it's been hidden in a way. It's like, the way to say a piece of coal is turned into a diamond by millions of years of pressure. There's a lot of pressure in the world right now. There's a lot of pressure on society. There's a lot of pressure between us and isolation. But I think ultimately, from a hopefully optimistic point of view, it's going to create something very beautiful. And I think artists are going to be the torchbearers. They're going to lead the charge of a new song in a way. And I think you, amongst other gifted people, will be there to meet that challenge, I hope, So I think your music, I just want to say, like, for me personally, your music is an absolute gift. And I've listened to a lot of your tunes a lot, and it always seems like for the first time. And to me, that's the ultimate compliment to give someone. It always moves me, So I'm going to end with it's the Tamsa in. I can't even.
You're the one who's supposed to be telling me how to pronounce that. It's I think it's Tomshin Collar.
Yeah,
which means I am sleeping.
I am sleeping. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Catherine, thank you very, very much for the interview, and thank you for giving me your time, and thank you for all you've done with your music. And to all the people.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing my music. And it's been nice to chat. So
okay. Well, this is Alan Cooke.
All the best. And thanks very much.
No problem at all. We're going to sign off on the first podcast episode of Ireland Speaks. And this is Catherine doing what she does, I think, best, playing the pipes. And this is Alan Cooke with my podcast, Ireland Speaks. Hope to tune in again for the next episode. Take care.
very, very much